G'day guys, James from Sparesbox here. Thanks for joining us for another episode of our Z31 project car. As you would have seen in our last episode, the car's a long way from what a Z31 starts life as, and I think to make one of these any sort of good on a racetrack, you kind of have to do that. No discredit to Z31 owners out there. I absolutely love them, but in factory form, sports car's a strong word. So as you've seen, we've seen to that. We've got a whole lot more fun planned. You're probably asking yourself, why start with the Z31 when you're going to do all this work? The answer is because it's no fun. So we've got a lot more fun to get through today. You'll see on top of my engine here, I've got a bunch of Raceworks goodies. I'm pretty stoked to have a look at all this. I love Raceworks fittings and expansion tanks. They're beautifully made. So I'm pretty excited to find homes for all that stuff, as well as showing you our PWR intercooler. And then we're going to send the car off to auto artisans to get wrapped. And finally, we'll get spreadsheets fabrication in to fabricate up our exhaust manifold. So we've just knocked up our PWR intercooler mounts here. You're probably thinking it's a pretty small intercooler. It's the best fit for the hole we have to work for. PWR stuff is really efficient. So while it is a relatively small intercooler for the application, it's going to suit us just perfectly. You might think these mounts are a little bit of overkill. I've seen people make these mounts out of that crappy aluminium, pre-drilled bar that you use to hang drain pipes. These are pretty heavy, especially once you've got all the piping off it. So we've mounted it from all 4 points to 4 points on the chassis, and we've also made the mounts from the bolt holes wider just to help spread the load a bit. It's really bloody solid. So now I can start to work out what the rest of the plumbing looks like from here to our VG. But first it's time for us to take the car to Auto Artisan for its wrap. I've seen the wrap that they've got planned. I think it looks great. I hope you guys like it as well. Let us know what you think.
Well, this is a very exciting part of the build. One of my favourites, to be honest. It's where we make our ugly duckling look like a bit more of a swan. The team at Auto Artisan Group have been working hard the past couple of days to transform the Z into this 80s-esque masterpiece. The wrap is absolutely out of this world. They really are the best at what they do. The wrap's got 80s themes. It's got our core colours. It's got reflective stripes. It looks $1,000,000, guys. I can't stress it enough. Over here is one car trailer. Behind me is the Z. And I reckon it's time to load it back up, get it back to HQ, and continue the build.
So I was gonna, once we're done, drill that off and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Next to me, I've got James from Spreadsheets Fabrications. You will have seen him in episode 3 when we installed our rear suspension into the Z. Today we're doing something a little more interesting, a little bit different. James, what are you doing today?
So, I've made up these nice little fancy log manifolds, and we're going a single turbo on the VG30. So what that means is we're going log on one side, around the back of the motor, V-band across through this side to the turbo, and then wastegate as well in between that and the turbo. So yeah, we'll get it all mounted up. We've got a nice bit of room there. Yeah, should look pretty sweet in there.
I think so, mate.
It's going to make some sick noises. So that's really the most important thing.
That's it. Everyone likes a big single turbo.
That's it.
And for everyone out there with the Z31, the crossover pipe over the top of the transmission wouldn't be a new idea. That's actually how they're arranged from the factory. Even the NA car actually has the driver's side manifold crossing over and then going down in one exhaust pipe. But with the Z32 engine, it's all a new game, so it should work out pretty well, though. We have a lot of space, as you said. Let's get cracking.
It's going to be sick.
This is the location for the crossover, mate. Yeah, buddy! There you go.
Hey?
Righto guys, so we're halfway through the exhaust and I'm just welding up the stainless part of the crossover. and just wanted to show you guys what we're doing and why. First of all, when I'm welding this, I'm purging it, which means I'm filling the inside of it with gas. So out of here, when you weld, argon gas actually comes around and surrounds the tungsten, and it actually enables the arc, and it protects the arc from oxidizing. Now, when you weld stainless pipes, if you don't purge it, you're not filling the inside with gas. So it's not protected in there, and basically it means you get shit in there and it's not good, and it's not good for flow. It creates turbulence and stuff like that. When we purge it, it actually makes the inside of the weld looks like the outside. So the way we're going to do that, I've hooked up a gas line here to the inside of the pipe, and I've got a dual regulator here. So I'm just going to pump up the gas up to about 20 litres per minute for about 30 seconds. And argon gas is heavier than air, so it's going to sink down. So I've taped up the other side, but I've got a few little holes in it, so it's going to vent through there. So if we're at, let's pump it up, 20 litres, 30 seconds. That should be full of argon by now. And then for welding, I'm going to turn it back to about probably a similar flow rate to what we'll weld at, which is 5 litres per minute. Now we're good to go.
Yeah, VGs are so hard to work on. VGs. Again.
All right, so with the manifold that Spread Cheese has made up for us in situ, the next step is for us to start plumbing up the turbo, that being the oil feed, oil drain, and the water lines. The turbo's in a great spot as far as intercooler piping goes and dump pipe routing and everything. However, the only thing it makes challenging is the drain. With the drain on the same side as the turbocharger, there isn't really space for a big drain and our dump pipe, as well as adequate clearance around our engine mounts. You don't want, scorching hot dump pipe sitting that far from a rubber engine mount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the side of the sump that the drain's on. I'm going to pop the sump off and weld a AN fitting onto the other side of the sump and have it run around the front of the sump. It means that the line can be as big as I need it to be. We're going to go -12. With the drain, if you have the space, I always go bigger. There's no downside to it, just space. And it also means that I have a larger line and I have a nice smooth sort of decline, because they do need to be gravity fed. And while our turbocharger is quite low, we can still have a gravity fed drain, but it needs to be of a nice shape and design, and it needs to not be right next to a dump pipe. So let's put it up, and just so you guys can see what's going on with the drain and why it needs to change sides. So now that the car's up in the air, I've got a 3-inch 45-degree bend here. 3 inches is the size of the dump pipe for this. The turbo really lines that up nicely for us to kind of have a straight shot down the side of the motor. However, the drain is way down the back of the sump here, and if I put this in here, I don't know if you can see, but there is bugger all space. We're certainly not getting a -12 AN fitting in there. If we were to make a line there, it would be, God, you just wouldn't do it. It'd be too small. -8 you just wouldn't make it fit. You'd have to kind of compromise the routing or go so far down in size it just wouldn't function as a drain. So engine out. We'll put the drain on the other side because we have a nice free run around the front of the motor. There's nothing there because there's only one turbo. It means that we can have a large drain as big as we want it. So we'll go -12 for that, like I said earlier. It also means the drain's longer. It's gonna be less prone to backing up, even though it's -12. It's not going to. And it's just a nice smooth bend. It's gonna work really well. It's the best solution to the problem. You could and should have different. You could bugger down the dump pipe to a different size, a smaller size, but obviously that's not ideal. I'd much rather go to the effort of moving the drain than I would have a poorly designed dump. So we'll go the smart way, not the easy way, and our car will be better for it, but it just means I have to pull the engine out, which, you know, isn't that bad. So we'll get stuck into pulling this motor out now, but you guys are gonna have to wait for the next episode to see that and see how it all fares. So join us for that next week. Cheers.